This is our 3-6 breathing drill. I'm going to lay Sergio on his back, feet on the ground, knees bent around 90 degrees. He's going to take his arms up like football goalposts, elbows directly in line with his shoulders. He's going to take a nice deep breath into his diaphragm. When he exhales, he's going to push into the floor and drive overhead with his arms. When he inhales, he'll fill the belly back up with air. When he exhales, he'll do his next slide. If he can, he'll breathe in his nose and out of his nose as he squeezes the air out of his diaphragm. This is our 3-6 breathing drill. This is our supine hamstring mode. Sergio is going to lay on his back, toes pointed straight up at the ceiling. It's important as we move the right leg that we keep that toe on the left leg pointed directly up in the ceiling. We don't open up that hip by turning the toe out. So it's very important that we are going to connect this motion to our breath. So Sergio is going to take a nice 3-second inhale into his diaphragm. As he exhales, he's going to raise the leg using his leg musculature, not the strap. The strap is just there to give him that little bit of extra. He's going to hold it through his exhale, return the leg back to the ground on his inhale, filling the diaphragm up, exhale, raising the leg, using that strap to give just a little challenge and holding it until he has no air left in his body. We're going to use that 3-6 breath that we did in our floor slide. And that's our supine hamstring mode with strap. This is our supine bent knee hamstring mode. Sergio is going to drop one leg back into his body. He's going to set that leg somewhere that he can straighten his leg completely, but get a little bit of challenge. You see there, he set it a little bit too far because he's not able to get the leg straight. So what he'll do is he'll back it off. And this is going to be different for each person. Set that quad wherever you can so that you can get that leg straight with just a little bit of challenge. Then what we're going to do is connect it to the breath. Inhale into the belly 3 seconds. Exhale through the nose as we squeeze and straighten that hamstring. We want to hold that through our exhale, returning to the start position with the next inhale. Watch the outside foot, that the toe doesn't turn out and that it stays pointed directly at the ceiling. Inhale, exhale to perform the stretch. That's supine bent knee hamstring mode. This is Greg Cook's Bretzel 2.0. So first thing we're going to do is get Sergio into the 90-90 position. Front quad is going to come straight out. We're going to have a 90-degree angle at the hip, knee, and the ankle. The back hip is going to go into just a bit of extension, and then we're going to square off that back leg too. Right angle with the knee and a right angle with the ankle. So then he's going to take both hands about 1 foot to 1.5 feet away from his leg, and he's going to attempt to nutrate his shoulders or line his shoulders up in the same plane as that front leg. He look over the shoulder into the twist, making sure that he does not bend that outside arm. Both arms are driving straight into the ground. He's standing up nice and tall with good posture. He's going to take a 3-second inhale through his nose into his diaphragm to create some space. Exhale 6 seconds as he squeezes it down and tries to turn those shoulders just a little bit more. This is Bretzel 2.0. This is half open, half kneel ankle mode. So the first thing we need to do is to get into the half open, half kneel position. So this is half kneel. Open is the whole way open. What we're looking for is something right in the middle. Half open, half kneel. He's going to draw his ankle in just a little bit closer so that we get into the ankle instead of the hip. We're going to connect this to our breath, just like all of our other stretches. We're going to breathe 3 seconds into the diaphragm. As we exhale 6 seconds, we're going to drive that knee over the pinky toe, being sure to keep the heel planted into the ground. We don't want to elevate that heel as we come forward. So drive in, use all of that 6-second exhale to squeeze the diaphragm as we open the ankle. This is half open, half kneeling ankle mode. This is combat pose plus lean and shoulder cars. So Sergio is going to bring his ankle in towards his body so that he's getting a nice calf stretch. Then he's going to lean out over that leg and he's going to hug it. The entire time we do this stretch, he's going to squeeze into that leg and every muscle in his body will be tight. Tight quads, tight calves, tight butt, every muscle. Arm is perfectly straight. He's making a fist, and he's squeezing into that fist. Leaning his weight out over top of his other leg. He's going to take a deep breath into his diaphragm. He's going to exhale and raise that arm as high as he can. When he's raised that arm as high as he can, he's going to freeze. He's going to internally rotate his hand as far as he can. Once he's internally rotated as far as he can, he's going to continue to internally rotate that arm as he goes back through his full range of motion. We want to put tension into the joint, so always think like you're moving your arm through thick air. So it's not just the weight of air, but it's something that causes you to put just a little bit of tension. Once he gets the whole way around, he's going to shove his hand straight back. He's going to freeze, full external rotation now as far as he can. And then as he continues his rotation, he's going to continue to rotate that arm and try to keep his hand as close to his body as he can as he does that rotation. And just one more repetition. He's going to inhale, exhale. Again, raising the arm as high as he can. When he gets to the top, he'll freeze, full internal rotation. And he's going to continue to internally rotate that arm as he brings it around. A good tip is you'll know that you've done it right if when you get the whole way around into this position, your palm is facing outward. He'll come back up as far as he can. He'll freeze. He'll externally rotate as far as he can. And then continue to cut down that angle and keep that hand as close to the body as he can as he brings it around. This is combat pose with lean plus shoulder cars. This is supine hip cars. We're going to start laying flat on the ground. It's important to irradiate, so every muscle in your body will have tension. Actually drive the hands and heels into the ground. It's important that you keep both butt cheeks flexed and both butt cheeks on the ground. When you move the right leg, it's very common for that left cheek to want to come off the ground. We're going to only take the hip where we can take it and keeping that butt cheek on the ground. So driving into the ground, Sergio is going to start by bringing his right leg up into flexion as far as he can. He'll open that knee straight out to the side. He's going to extend the leg and then complete his circle. He'll do one more time, coming up fully into flexion, opening that hip up to the side. When it doesn't move anymore, he's going to extend it and bring it back into flexion. Now we'll reverse our motion. So he's going to straighten out the leg. He's going to take that foot straight out to the side. Remember to keep that butt cheek on the ground and come up into flexion and extend. So we want to move the hip under some tension. So pretend like you're a rusty toy and it takes just a little bit of effort to move that hip. Make sure that we don't speed through the sticky spots. Extend that foot. That is supine hip cars. This is supine glute bridge. Sergio is going to start lying on his back with his heels directly in line with his hips. He'll drag the heels close to the body, as close as he can get them, and then he'll back them off just about an inch. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to connect our TVA. So he's going to take his two hip points, and what I want him to think about is pulling those hip points together. We're going to keep that contraction in our abdominals the entire time we do this exercise. What's very important is that we extend from the hips and not from the back. So one good way to tell that is if your back lands in a different position, maybe with more arc, we show that, or less arc, then you know that you've changed something. So what I'd like him to do now is pick his toes up off the ground and drive through the heels and extend the hip. We're going to connect that to the breath, 3-second in, 6-second exhale. 3-second inhale to reset, 6-second exhale. And as he's exhaling, he's squeezing the air out of his diaphragm and squeezing his butt cheeks. Supine glute bridge. This is quadruped hydrants. Sergio is going to start in quadruped position, which is his hands directly underneath his shoulders, his knees directly underneath his hips, and his toes curled underneath, loaded into the ground. What I'd like him to do is to drive into both hands. He's going to grip the ground and twist down in. He's going to create core tension by really cinching up his abdominal wall. Then what we're going to do is we're going to raise one knee out to the side as high as it will go without moving his hips. So the trick here is imagine that you have a bowl of water sitting on kind of on your tailbone, and you don't want to spill that water, so I don't want to elevate the hips. Come on back down. Show me one bad one, please. Just go ahead and tilt. See how he just hiked the hip and he just turned his bum? So again, he's creating a lot of tension with the ground. Anything that's not moving is gripping, twisting, or driving into the ground as he extends that knee straight out to the side. Quadruped hydrants. This is our half kneeling hip iso hold. So Sergio's going to come into half kneeling position, right knee directly under the back hip, front leg at 90 degrees, front ankle at 90 degrees. He's going to come up close to a wall, and he's actually going to push into the wall and drive into the ground with his back toe. His plant knee, the knee that is on the ground, will be completely locked out. His butt will be squeezed super hard. You can see him bear down there. And then what he's going to do is he's going to elevate his front leg as high as he can, holding that stiff position, shoving that continuously up towards the top as high as he can. Hold for 5 seconds. Inhale and return it back down to the ground. He'll do it again. He'll exhale, and he's going to raise that hip, and he's really, really shoving that up as he drives the opposite hip straight down into the ground. This is half kneeling hip flexor iso hold. This is toe touch squat to stretch. So Sergio's going to set up with his heels directly underneath his hips and his toes turned out somewhere around 30 degrees, wherever's comfortable for you. He's going to straight legs and bend down and hook his hands underneath his toes, and he's going to pull up. As he pulls up, he's going to crank his butt down into the ground, and then he'll reverse his motion. What's very important to note is that his knees will drive outside of his arms. We never want the knees to go inside the arms. As he pulls his butt down, head comes up. As he takes his head down, his butt goes up as he gets that nice stretch through his posterior chain. Toe touch squat to stretch. This is our toes elevated hip hinge with dowel. So we're going to take a dowel rod, and Sergio is going to place it up his back. One hand will go at the small of his back, the other one will go at the nape of his neck. The stick is going to make contact with the back of his head, his upper back, and his butt. It's very important throughout this motion that we keep that stick in contact with all 3 points. He's going to elevate his toes up onto our 2x6. If you don't have a 2x6 at home, you can use whatever you have. He's going to put about a 20-degree bend in his knees and shove his hips straight back towards the back wall. Notice how his shins stay pretty vertical throughout this motion. It's very easy to know if you've done something wrong because you'll feel the stick lose contact, either with the butt, if you flex the lumbar spine, the head, if you flex the cervical spine. So it's very important we want to keep that stick in contact with all 3 points the entire time through this motion. As he comes back up, he'll squeeze his glutes and brace his core. This is toes elevated hip hinge with dowel.